You think showing her attention builds attraction. You think being responsive, available, and validating her every move makes her like you more. And that exact belief is why she's losing interest in you right now. The women who are actually attracted to you, the ones quietly invested, the ones watching your every move, they're not responding to your compliments or your eagerness. They're responding to something you're probably not even aware you're doing. And the moment you start doing what you think works, you kill it. Let me be very direct with you. The mainstream dating advice you've been fed, the idea that women want attention, that they want you to pursue harder, that they want consistent validation, it's a trap. It's designed to keep you spinning your wheels while she moves on to someone who understands the actual psychology at play. The one sign a woman shows when she's secretly attracted to you has nothing to do with what she says and everything to do with how she behaves when you're not giving her what she expects. Here's what's actually happening. When a woman is genuinely attracted to you, she doesn't need you to confirm it. She doesn't need you to chase. She doesn't need you to fill every silence with validation. What she needs is tension, and tension only exists when there's uncertainty. The moment you become predictable, the moment she knows exactly how you'll respond, the moment she realizes you're always available, always eager, always ready to give her what she wants, the attraction dies. It doesn't fade slowly, it collapses, because you've removed the one element that keeps her mind focused on you, the question of whether or not you're actually interested. The sign we're talking about today is this. A woman who is secretly attracted to you will create opportunities for you to notice her without directly asking for your attention. She'll position herself in your environment. She'll linger in conversations longer than necessary. She'll bring up topics that give you an opening to engage her on a deeper level. But here's the critical part. She won't do it in an obvious way. She won't say, "Hey, I'm interested in you." She won't make it easy. She'll test whether or not you're perceptive enough to pick up on the subtle invitations she's laying out. And if you respond by jumping at every opportunity, by being overly available, by showering her with attention the second she gives you an opening, you fail the test. You've just told her subconscious that you're not the prize. She is. And that flips the entire dynamic against you. Let's break down the psychology of why this happens. Women are biologically wired to assess a man's value based on how scarce his attention is. This isn't conscious. She's not sitting there calculating your response time or analyzing your behavior with a checklist. It's happening at a primal level. Her brain is asking one question. Is this man someone other women want, or am I his only option? If you're always there, always responding immediately, always making yourself available, her subconscious concludes that you don't have options. And if you don't have options, you're not high value. It doesn't matter how good looking you are. It doesn't matter how successful you are. It doesn't matter how well you treat her. If your behavior signals that she's your only focus, her attraction will evaporate. Now, contrast that with a man who doesn't jump at every opportunity, a man who notices her subtle invitations but doesn't react like they're the most important thing in his world, a man who engages when he chooses to, not when she dangles the bait. That man creates tension. That man keeps her guessing. That man occupies space in her mind because she doesn't know for certain where she stands with him. And that uncertainty is what drives attraction. It's not manipulation, it's not playing games, it's understanding that attraction is not built through comfort and certainty. It's built through polarity and tension. Here's where most men go wrong. They see the sign, they notice she's creating opportunities. Maybe she's standing near him at a social gathering longer than she needs to. Maybe she's texting him about something insignificant just to keep the conversation going. Maybe she's asking questions that are clearly designed to see how he'll respond. And what does he do? He leans in. He gives her exactly what she's fishing for. He validates her. He reassures her. He makes it clear that yes, he's interested. Yes, he's available. Yes, she has his full attention. And in that moment, he loses her because he's just removed all the tension. He's answered the question her subconscious was asking. And now there's nothing left to wonder about. The women who are actually attracted to you, the ones who are secretly invested, they don't want you to make it easy for them. They want to feel like they're earning your attention. They want to feel like your focus is something valuable, something that isn't given freely to just anyone. And the only way to create that feeling is to not be the guy who's always available. You have to be the guy who has other priorities. The guy who has a life that doesn't revolve around has a life that doesn't revolve around her. The guy who engages on his terms, not the guy who engages on his terms, not hers. This doesn't mean you ignore her. This doesn't mean you play hard to get in some childish, transparent way. It means you genuinely have standards. You genuinely have things going on that matter more than getting her validation. And when you do engage with her, it's because you want to, not because you're desperate for her attention. Let me give you a specific example. You're at a party. She's been hovering near you for the last 20 minutes. She's laughed at things you've said even when they weren't that funny. She's found excuses to touch your arm, to stand close, to make eye contact just a little longer than necessary. Most guys in this situation will take that as a green light to go all in. They'll focus all their energy on her for the rest of the night. They'll buy her drinks, they'll follow her around, they'll make it obvious that she's the only person in the room they care about. And by the end of the night, she's lost interest. Why? Because he made himself too available. He became predictable. He removed the challenge. Now, imagine a different approach. You notice the signs. You're aware she's interested. But instead of making her the center of your world, you continue engaging with other people. You talk to her for a few minutes, then you move on. You let her wonder if you even noticed her signals. You create space, and in that space, her mind starts working. She starts questioning. Does he see me the way I see him? Is he actually interested? Why isn't he pursuing me the way other guys do? And that internal dialogue is what keeps you on her mind. That's what builds attraction, not your attention, your absence of desperation. Here's another scenario. She's texting you. The conversation is flowing, she's asking you questions, she's keeping it going, and then she sends a message that's clearly designed to see how you'll react. Maybe it's something about her day. Maybe it's a subtle complaint about something. Maybe it's a question that's fishing for a compliment. Most guys will respond immediately. They'll give her the validation she's looking for. They'll reassure her, they'll compliment her, they'll make sure she knows they're paying attention. And again, that kills the tension. Instead, what if you don't respond right away? What if you respond later? And when you do, you don't give her exactly what she was fishing for. You acknowledge what she said, but you don't fall over yourself to validate her. You keep the frame, you stay in control of the interaction, and that keeps her guessing, that keeps her invested. The psychology of tension is simple. Human beings value what they have to work for. We dismiss what comes too easily. This applies to everything: career success, fitness goals, relationships, attraction. If she doesn't have to work for your attention, she won't value it. And if she doesn't value it, she won't be attracted to you. It's that attracted to you. It's that straightforward. The one sign that a woman is secretly attracted to you, those subtle invitations, those lingering glances, those prolonged conversations, they're tests. She's not just trying to spend time with you. She's trying to see if you're the kind of man who understands you're the kind of man who understands value. The kind of man who doesn't give himself away for free. The kind of man who has standards and boundaries and a life that doesn't revolve around female validation. Now, let's talk about what this looks like in practice. The unbothered protocol. First, you have to genuinely build a life that doesn't depend on her attention. This isn't something you can fake. Women have an incredible ability to sense when a man is pretending to be busy or pretending to have options. If your whole life is structured around getting female attention, she'll know. And it won't matter how well you play it cool. The neediness will leak through. So before you even think about strategy, you need to have real things going on. A mission, a purpose, goals that matter to you. Independent of dating, hobbies, friends, projects, a career you're building, things that genuinely occupy your time and energy. When you have that foundation, the unbothered energy isn't an act. It's just who you are. Second, when she creates those opportunities, you acknowledge them without jumping on them. She lingers in a conversation, you engage, but you don't extend it unnecessarily. She texts you, you respond when it fits your schedule, not the second she sends it. She positions herself near you in a social setting, you acknowledge her presence, maybe exchange a few words, then continue doing what you were doing. The key is to make her feel seen without making her feel like she's conquered you. You're letting her know that yes, you notice her, but no, she doesn't have you locked down. That balance is what creates the down. That balance is what creates the tension. Third, you never ever validate her just because she's fishing for it. Women will test you constantly. They'll make statements designed to get you to compliment them, reassure them, or chase them. And every time you fall for it, you lower your value in her eyes. This doesn't mean you're cold or dismissive. It means you don't give away your approval for free. When she says something like, "I look terrible today," the weak response is, "No, you look." The weak response is, "No, you look amazing." The high value response is a smirk and something like, "You'll survive." It's playful, it's confident, and it doesn't hand her the validation on a silver platter. She has to earn it. Fourth, you create space intentionally. After a good interaction, you pull back. You don't try to keep the momentum going artificially. You let the interaction breathe. You let her sit with the experience. You let her wonder when she'll hear from you again. That space is where her mind does the work. That's where she starts thinking about you. That's where attraction builds. If you're constantly in her face, constantly available, constantly trying to keep things moving forward, you suffocate the attraction before it has a chance to grow. Fifth, you pay attention to her actions, not her words. A woman can say she's not interested while her behavior screams the opposite. She can say she's too busy while consistently finding time to be around you. She can claim she doesn't care while obsessively checking to see if you've responded. The sign we're talking about, those subtle opportunities she creates, they're behavioral, they're subconscious, and they're far more reliable than anything she'll say out loud. So stop listening to what she tells you and start watching what she tells you and start watching what she does. If she's creating reasons to be in your orbit, if she's extending conversations, if she's finding excuses to touch you or be near you, that's the signal. And your job isn't to reward it immediately. Your job is to acknowledge it without chasing it. Here's the brutal truth most men don't want to hear. The reason you're not seeing results with women isn't because you're not good enough. It's because you're too eager, you're too available, you're too willing to hand over your attention and validation without making her earn it. And that eagerness, that availability, it's repulsive to the female subconscious. It signals low value. It signals desperation. It signals that you don't have options. And no amount of looks, money, or status will overcome that signal if your behavior is screaming it. The women who are secretly attracted to you right now, they're waiting to see if you understand this. They're creating opportunities. They're giving you openings. They're testing whether or not you're perceptive enough to notice and disciplined enough not to jump at them like a starving animal. And if you can pass that test, if you can engage without chasing, if you can create tension without being manipulative, you'll see a shift. You'll stop being the guy she's not sure about and start being the guy she can't stop thinking about. So, here's what you do moving forward. Stop rewarding her for breadcrumbs. Stop being available every time she reaches out. Stop validating her just because she's fishing for it. Start building a life that's genuinely fulfilling, independent of female attention. Start noticing the subtle signs without reacting desperately to them. Start creating space instead of trying to fill every silence. Start being the kind of man whose attention is valuable because it's scarce and intentional, not freely given to anyone who shows the slightest interest. The one sign a woman shows when she's secretly attracted to you isn't loud, it isn't obvious, it's subtle, it's behavioral, and it's a test. The question is, are you going to pass it, or are you going to keep doing what every other guy does and wonder why it's not working?